An iconic car, an iconic track, an iconic race. Welcome along to the first of the 2 exhibition rounds here at Atlanta for our upcoming Gen 4 Thunder League. I couldn't be more excited to get this off the ground myself. And we've got a long championship ahead of us around some of the greatest tracks on iRacing, but it all starts on the track here for first of our 2 clash rounds at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The classic Atlanta, of course, the way we like it best. Very bumpy around here, but this track is outrageously fast and outrageously challenging. It's going to take a lot out of the drivers, and with 100 laps of it here, 2 planned stops, we could have an absolute roller coaster. I'm Howie Burroughs, and alongside a good old host instead, Simon Davison, who knows a lot about a lot of stock cars, but has struggled with this one in his time in just the practice, I believe. Am I just putting you on blast like that?
I mean, it deserves. This car has a lot of power, and anyone who's driven Old Atlanta in any car knows how little grip there is out there. It's a treacherous combination. Gotta watch out, especially on the exit of turn 4. If you're on that high side of the track, that grip just gets away from you so fast, and you've got a lot of catching up to the car to do. Currently in qualifying, a lot of high line being taken here just to try and build speed, and where the car just feels the most terrifying.
I gotta say, like, there's a reason I'm here in the booth and not on the track. I love these cars to absolute bits, but this is hard. Outrageously fast around here. I mean, what they've done to the modern track is unusual, but we're not here to think about that. We're here to think about this beautiful 2008 rendition of Atlanta Motor Speedway. Drivers are getting through their qualifying laps now, and we have a very, very large and nice turnout with some classic names from the channel, you could say, but alongside them as well, some very much I'd call them randoms. Many people that have just dropped into the hosted session lobby, they could become a league regular, and so could you, because we're not done with the sign-ups. Head to www.aeonesports.com. We've got a fantastic schedule. It includes this track. It includes plenty more of your classics. Dare I say, no super speedways. It's the best kind of racing in the world. I'll bring up the schedule any second now. I didn't have this ready for the day, but that's how I go. That's how I run my life. I mean, we have a lot of fantastic races, including another clash round coming up, of course, in March. Before we kick off with the second season, planned for the new Gen 4 car. It looks like we could be getting the old one for another season in iRacing, but am I going to cry about it? This car is great. I absolutely adore it.
And importantly, next time out, we're going to Auto Club, and Auto Club is the best oval. You cannot prove me wrong, because I'm right.
I do like Auto Club. I mean, iRacing are sure going to get to scanning that new short track anytime soon, right? Right, the new California short track.
Yes, Los Angeles Coliseum.
We remember the best of times, right? We remember the best of times indeed. Drivers almost done with their qualifying laps. A couple yet to quite run them, as we see James Fezzing, James Fezzing on the track. I pulled an L out of nowhere. Just one more driver who hasn't quite set a time. Looks like it's going to be an Alcantech lockout on the front row, a Swedish team that loves to invade the European leagues, and they found another. They'll be leading the front row as unless something crazy comes out of James Facing's hat here. Runs around, and this is a fast track. You don't even really get on the brakes unless you're looking to save tyre in the long run, although you'll be doing a little bit of that over the length of our race. It's going to be substantial.
This track is super abrasive at the best of times. You're going to be wanting to save some amount of tyre. Given how slippery this car is, I had to feel the rear is the first to go, so you definitely want to be trying to pitch this car on the fronts as much as you can. Just because when you get out of 4, you need those rear tyres underneath you. That is a very slow approach line for these things, so I presume this is not going to be a great looking lap for them.
There was a wall bang. He made it right into it as you were talking about how hard 4 is. It is hard. Tom Shackelford there set a time. We have a grid set, I believe. Should be about 20 drivers, but we've managed to get 17 laps done. So if we get our pace lap underway anytime soon, we'll go through our whole starting grid. Fantastic turnout. We already have some great league sign-ups in here, but I'm hoping that some of the drivers that are new names here check out the league after the fact, because it's going to be a brilliant, brilliant schedule. Pace lap getting ready to get due soon, and there'll be some surprises and some not surprises for those who maybe know the Aeon Esports cinematic universe a little bit too well. Here's our starting grid. We have Daniel Solo right next to Eric Blix on the front row. Teammates, sometimes these teammates get into each other a little bit, though. We got a long race. We're going to have to see how this plays out. Lars Chenoweth sits alongside Alexander Aldrizon on the next row. Matthew Crisp sits next to Jake Forster on row 3. Whilst Josh Morga sits next to Elliot Fagerberg in 8th. Some of these names I've seen them for the first time right now. Justin Reynolds sits next to Stevie Druin. Damien Scaro gets up next to Doyle Rudolph. We got more drivers back as we go. Tom Shackelford gets a time in 13th. Trevor Crosswright on the outside. Roy Bolling on the inside of the next row, next to Lewis Baines, Jordan Denny. And then here are some remaining drivers. I don't know if this excludes every single person that joined and left the open session, so I'm not quite sure how many of them I do see Sereno's car. So definitely a good few of these, but some of these won't be showing because obviously being an open session, a lot of people can join. Looks like we actually have quite a few of these cars hitting up the grid. We'll have to see how they line up any moment now. So a big grid to start the race. Things could go wrong very, very quickly, but if we get a long run here, it will go green for 100 laps, and that in theory, I mean, the theory never plays out in practice, that in theory would be 2 stops, slightly above the usual Gen 4 Cup. They'd usually run about 80 around here, so it's going to be a challenge to keep this under you and really play for the long run. Community voted on a Porsche pace car, by the way, and it wasn't selectable, so I have gone for the executive decision. Bring in the Ford Mustang. Now, I hate to be asked this question, so I'm going to ask it to you. You know a couple of these drivers, just a little bit. Do you have any guesses as to how you think this is going to play out?
I am basing my estimation based just entirely off the practice session we bore witness to before this race. The long run is going to be challenging, but the good news for the drivers is I don't think we're going to get many of them. This track has been a handful on just a couple of laps on these cold tyres, and I think some of these drivers are going to struggle to make it out the gates, unfortunately, as we start the pace lap here. So just make sure you're aware, make sure you're able to get control of the car, make sure you dodge the wreck before it happens, and make sure you don't cause it yourself. If you have a car at the end of this, you've got a chance.
The cars certainly can string out here. It's not quite like quite like a plate race, but yes, if they don't even get off the grid together, that's going to be a struggle on this road. It looks like I'm just trying to count the amount of cars actually running around today's grid. There's quite a few gaps in the timing. Yeah, let me actually. I'm going to bring your live time. I've not been running a live timing for you. That's be terribly rude of me. That's now available for you.
Thank you.
As these drivers, that pace car's going to pull it in. We're going to go over free open restart. It goes on the leader, Daniel Solo, the 13 on the inside row. How long are Alcantech going to hold out this front row? They may only be bragging rights on the line, but some of those bragging rights are going to matter to that team for a very, very long time. To begin, it's time to bring the thunder in Atlanta. And already we have a car back with Jamie Ascaro's back. I think we're going to stay green, though, as that stays in the infield. Daniel Solo leads the way. Good jump off the start.
So yeah, they're able to get it single file up front. Obviously, Ascaro gets stacked up in the back, has to take evasive maneuvers, get to the grass, and doesn't bring out the caution. And now very real danger of going half a lap down at this stage. But everyone else staying well behaved, staying mild manners. They'll come off for 4 out of speed for the first time.
It's Lars Chenoweth that looks like he's going to make the first move right around the outside on the quad oval. These very wide quad ovals can be very difficult to navigate, as we do see a wrecking behind. There is our first caution of the race already. Quite a few drivers. I didn't quite catch what happened, but I saw a few dropping down the field. I thought that was going to happen immediately, so we'll catch some replays of some of the things that quite happened there on that quite dramatic start. Kicking it off with Jamie Ascaro first. What? Not quite yet. Was this before the green? Just trying to work this one out.
Yeah, it was as they were coming to the line.
For some reason I don't have Jamie Ascaro's car. Let's get some of the crashes that may have triggered this. We had a potential crash with John Colmorgan off the start. Oh, it's a 24 right into the back of Jamie.
Ooh.
Sends her around. That's a better shot of it. Bit of a carnage there on the front rows. That wasn't the absolute source of the caution, though. It kicked up a little bit later. Is John Colmorgan again. Oh, quite a few drivers backwards and sideways. Okay, this happened quite a bit before. It's the 34 just off the wall over here. That's Jordan Denny starting it loose, and that's what you mean, a proper T-bone. And that will bring out our first caution already.
A double tap as well, yeah. Obviously, 34 just gets high into the wall, can't bring it down safely. Rear gets his route to run anything up, put your sideways on the track, and there's nowhere for anyone to go because that's right on the path you need to take to make the entry of the corner. And 100 of this thing is just punched. Oh, was that no, it's the 63 of Colmorgan. Both yellow cars.
Drivers are going to have to get a little bit used to this. We should have a fast repair available for this session, so some of these drivers are wrecked out at the start. It's good news for Jamie Ascaro. Bit unlucky to have a slow start and get run right into, but it certainly wasn't terminal enough. Probably won't even use up the fast repair. She'll be on the back of the grid again to restart. Well,
not at the true rear, no, Ascaro stayed out, so that's actually at least 3 positions gained from where they were coming into that, but she's actually not doing terrible. As long as she can get off the line this time, there's a good chance still.
100 laps gives plenty of chances. We are single file behind the caution. That was Tom Shackleton, John Colmorgan and Jordan Denny on pit road. Oh, only one meatball flag had to be cleared. That was John Colmorgan's. As I think we still have a couple laps behind this pace car. Let's keep an eye on the lights. We see drivers starting to get themselves into double file, which is usually the sort of sign that we're probably about to go green soon. Yes, it will need a next lap. There's a big move there by Lars to get around the outside of Eric Blixt on the start. He sent him back a row. Daniel might have to get used to not being able to lead for long, though, if these wrecks continue, or maybe it will just calm down a little.
There's a message from the automated race control system saying this would be a single file restart, but the drivers seem to be
I think because we didn't get a lap done, we're going to believe what the race gives them. It usually changes that. There can be single file restart if there are consecutive cautions and we don't get laps complete on the field. So
doesn't seem to agree with this being a single file start.
Lars is going to have to get used to it. Looks like we are restarting this one at single file.
These drivers don't drive IndyCar. You want to be on the wall at this point, because the only way you can get overtaken is the inside and the outside. Excuse me. No one's protecting the outside.
I don't do many single file restarts in NASCAR. Do you?
I do on an oval, and Solo is about to take one here. The green flag will eventually fly.
We are back to green.
We're going to see more fireworks, but we are indeed back to green.
Hopefully we get laps done here, down behind there.
So is the wall.
That's Steve Drowin in the 98 in the wall. I think we are going to keep running from there. Some of these drivers have certainly recovered out from there, and it's Lars is going straight for the pass. The P1 already, leaving no time at all, holding that bottom line. There's a lot of momentum on the outside, but your tyres aren't quite going to like it very much either. They're side by side at the line.
I'm always going to prefer the high line in Atlanta. That banking just lets you carry so much momentum. Trying to get the aero while Shollow covers off the line that Schnoworth was trying to take, but that just means I think Schnoworth is going to build a run here, shoot to the inside and try and contest the position again. No, chooses to go high. But that does let Solo take that inside line and cover some of the tyres off, and then should be able to slide back in front, hold that position, and keep this race going.
Jake Forster making his way around Alexander Alderson for the P4 further behind as well. Quite a few drivers up front with good pace. pace to run, but his top two have very much gotten away quite a bit. Daniel Solo maintains the lead, but you can already see that gap behind starting to grow. They might just use up their stuff here, trying to fight each other to the death, but until we get to that point, I think they're going to quite enjoy this tussle.
And I was saying I prefer the outside. It looks like Solo definitely wants that inside, covering it off quite strongly here, forcing Chenoweth to go to the high sides. But presumably that just means the 22 is just going to build a run here, and should at least be able to get ahead on corner exit. And that's just going to let Blixt, who's currently uncontested, slowly close that gap. Chenoweth does slide through into first position. And the yellow flag comes out, spinner in the back, the 84, as well as the 98 and the 6, Ascara in a second incident.
There's no way. I see quite a few wrecked race cars here. That certainly was an incident indeed. Let's see if we can catch a better view of this. Is Jamie Iscaro's perspective. Sometimes she wonders if she could ever catch a break. Into the back of the 98 and around. 3 cars collected.
Slide job gone wrong for the 98 there. Tries to just come up in front of the 6, take the nose off, but Scaro didn't react or chose not to react, and I don't really know which, and I do not care because the result is the same. Bunch of wrecked cars and a bunch of ruined days.
I think I don't think she's used to fast repair, but that might be the last time we see at least one of these drivers on the track, as we do actually see pit stops here from some of these drivers that are not associated in the wreck. Those are the lead cars already looking for new tyres on this run, or already looking to maybe top up on fuel and just expect this to become a little bit of a caution running race, I wonder, because these are the 2 Alcantech cars very much getting themselves out of the way of things.
If you have 3 sets of tyres, I believe it is, in the pit lane for this race.
It's just a fuel run. They're looking to make it up over. They're looking to make it up over time. These cars make about 44 on fuel on this track. That was my estimation, based on my driving, which is pretty poor. Which will be around. It seems like a very marginal gain, unless you're hoping to beat people on pit road.
But the important thing is, though, is like you have limited tyre sets. You want a set for the end of this race if a late caution comes. If you pit this early, a badly timed caution towards the end could really put your race in jeopardy. I don't know. I don't like this choice.
Well, it's been committed to now. It's been locked in. And that puts Lars into lead. It looks as if I also see one of the other drivers, Jake Forster, seems to have dropped back as well. Lars over Alex over Bartosz, as I think we'll have 1 to green on the next go around. That quad oval line, quite far down. Tell me a piece of Talladega trivia you don't know. As that's a black flag for Jamie Iscaro, I believe. Yeah, she didn't quite get to pit for repairs on the first time around, and that is the penalty for entering the closed pit, I think. Nope.
Penalty for entering closed pit is an end of line, so not sure what's going on with Iscaro.
It can be a hold if you get it late in the process. If you get it after the pit lane closes, can become a nasty stop and hold. And with the drivers,
I always just pit as soon as I get the damage.
I mean, and with these drivers a double file for this next race restart, you're going to... It's maybe a bit of a changing of the guard, or maybe Lars is going to use this to run away a bit. 2 drivers behind the Alcantech plan. They're teammates and they will have been communicating. So that's the only thing I can believe from them, is that they thought about something we haven't together. They don't know what it's going to quite be, though. And what do we know? We know very little.
I know that Chenoweth definitely preferred the outside, forced to take the inside from P1. Does Arlinson have anything to contest the 22? We're going to find out as the green flag flies.
Exactly. It's our 3rd time going green, and it's a very, very good job from Lars down the line, and we have more wrecking behind the Red Bull. It looks like, are we staying green? Oh, I think
there is a car backwards on the track.
They're not getting passed by cars, so we stay green. iRacing automated yellows there, and it's a side-by-side duel here between Bartos and Algerson for the P3. Behind Justin Reynolds is finally looking to get a little bit aggressive on top. It could almost go 3 wide into this trioval as there's contact.
No.
The 15 around into the back. There's a big one. That has to be the caution. We have blowovers. I can't believe what we're witnessing right now, but it's not good.
Just squeezed too hard up the track. I'm not sure what the plan there was, but very unfortunate there for the 15. He just gets cleaned out.
Slow-mo of this one and just a little bit more detail. I mean, this isn't ideal. As the spotter was saying, this is less than optimal. I'm watching my hopes and dreams fall apart ahead of me right now as this field chain wrecks each other into oblivion. And yeah, the 11's the real passenger behind. The 15 is sent for the sort of crash that would make NASCAR cry. The 26 collected by accident as well. Lots and lots of victims even further up the field, and we're just not getting these green laps done under any circumstance.
Lot of cars given meatballs. Justin Mills, the 14, has one. Is currently out on track. Doyle Rudolph in the 26. Alexander Olidson, obviously the main target of that one. Is Skyro showing as having a black flag still?
What is the black for?
I am going to attempt to find out using the dangerous bit of software known as iRacing.
I mean, like, it curses all of us.
Nope, it's just showing me a black flag. Thought it might give me the detail. Oh well.
I have to ask drivers and get that individually from them. I think it might... it went yellow exactly in time for her to not serve that penalty.
Yeah, the not drive-through. That is unfortunate.
The
good news is it doesn't tick down like the laps you can't serve it in, so she'll be able to serve it. That 21 is missing a front right wheel, and that's a problem. I would describe that as suboptimal.
And yeah, a lot of cars in the car graveyard. I mean, there is the fast repair. Looks like Justin Reynolds ain't taking, no. Might have parked it and been Alexander Algerson too. And Lars will lead again over Bartos and Trevor. Anthony Sereno's ended up in quite a... kind of made his way up through this nonsense all the way up into a P4. It's going to take a little bit of sorting out to reshuffle this field here, especially because our Alpintech drivers are still quite far back in the field.
I have Crisp in 7th, Solo in 8th. They've moved up a lot on that last incident. From race control to where's clear penalties?
To clear that endless black flag penalty and get maybe return to an actual semblance of a race among us. Some Reynolds still isn't serving that, still isn't taking that fast repair. Maybe a park for the day.
Apparently bugged.
I mean, did you hear about the GT3 bug that just released?
That's great.
If you set the front ARB on the Ferrari GT3 to 45 degrees, you're not let out of the pits. They just discussed this for the Bathurst 12, so important to know these things in case for some reason you're running those cars around that track. I could never. Right? I could never run those cars around that track. As the pace car pulls in, we're going to have a single file restart. Hopefully, we last just a little longer. Lars leads the way, and we are green. No one covering that outside this time. And that is as Anthony Sereno losing it. He's going to just about rejoin the track, hopefully without a major wreck. We keep running.
Impressive save there. That grass is very terrifying on the car. There's as many horses as this has under the hood. But once again, Chenoweth really good going up through the gears. Gets a massive gap on the second car. This time, Regala. Little bit close enough that they can maybe fight over a run, but definitely advantage to 22 right now as we see the 95 of... who is the 95?
It's the 89 in iRacing of Eric Blixt. The Alcatech drivers couldn't get their numbers sorted in time, and so we're witnessing carnage out there. As we see the triple Alcatech threat are looking to work together, and they haven't quite wrecked each other out of this race yet.
Well, the Alcatech obviously synonymous with these drivers, unfortunately, so need to be careful as we go 3 wide coming through the exit of turn 4. Very terrifying to be on the high side, but they managed to get through unscathed.
There's Daniel Yant leading over Jake Forster and Jamie Ascaro. Doyle Rudolph also in there behind. As there's definitely certainly a battle on the middle of this field. Lars looks like he's run away.
Forster's definitely got that high side pinned down though through 1 and 2. Can just really get up against that fence and just get the throttle down and just carve around that high side. Scarra trying to pick at the inside here though of Yont, and does at least have the advantage coming to the line. A little bit of a wobble there, trying to get the car turned, but will take that position clean.
Jamie has a bit of anger in her system sometimes that she sometimes needs to release by passing people very hard on the track. We certainly have settled down, but Anthony Sereno looks like he very much leads this, not really a pack up ahead, but in front of him, the gap is substantial to Daniel Solo, Matthew Crisp, and Eric Blix. The Alcatech triple as Doyle to almost go high behind. But drivers right now, not every move is a move to race. People are very much going to be running their own laps and running their own time, trying to let these tyres come into them as we hopefully push towards a green flag run.
Further we get into this, obviously, more tyres are going to matter, and obviously this strategy that saw Blixt and Crisp and a lot of the Alcatech drivers come in, take tyres, now coming into fruition. You can see them very quickly dice what remained in the field. Now gaining on second place Bartosz. And slowly just inching forwards, trying to put pressure on those two side by side in front. And this is when the Alcatech drivers are licking their chops, because they are right there, ready to pounce if one of them slips.
And they work
dangerous
together
for these leaders.
Can they work together for long enough to mount up a chase? I've heard legendary stories of Alcatech drivers wrecking each other in what we like to call the Alcan wreck. But holding it together and very much running single file at the moment, or at least certainly not looking to make dramatic moves. There's always a little bit of looseness there from Eric Blix up ahead, but Lars Chenoweth is absolutely running away, and he's going to hope this doesn't completely wreck his tyres over the course of this race, but it's over a second already.
But, like, obviously Lars isn't being contested, so it's just whatever the preferred line is for the 22. Probably going to get down the track here, yep, all the way to the inside. Keep those tyres nice and calm. And if you're able to do that and still maintain this level of pace, you're not going to get forced offline until you hit lap traffic, which isn't going to be for a while. These tyres are going to last for a good amount of time here.
But, really depends on how you drive them around here, and it depends on how hard you push them. Maybe he is just naturally fast. He was very competitive, pushing his way up in those first few race restarts, quarter of the way through race distance now, as we are going too wide up ahead. Trevor and Bartosz are still fighting between each other here.
Ooh, hold on to it, cross white.
Losing it, going to the bottom, and now Eric Blix looks like he has the run. On the outside, lots of momentum. Might be followed up by Matthew Crisp. I think we're being lied to a little bit there by the... Oh, he's going to almost completely concede this. Daniel Solo looks ready to pounce as well. And that'd be free around the outside.
Those rears from cross white. Oh, car in the wall, Crisp. Hold on to it. Does manage to keep the car point forwards once again. It's cross white who can't keep a hold of it.
Now Cross White gets himself loose into the wall. The wind playing games with these drivers, and that's a dent in the front. That aero damage could slow you down by a lot. As,
2 laps in a row. That 24 was just, you could see it moving, squirming all the way off of the exit of 2. No chance of controlling it, and Crosswhite just gets too close to the wall, rams it in there, and nowhere for the Architect driver behind to go. That's going to cost the 24 a ton of position. Slides into 8. That damage is going to be stacking because that yellow hasn't come out yet. And everyone's just running a freight train on them on the high side.
Eric Blixt has made the most of the carnage, though. And now he's looking to maybe chase down this leader just a little bit. There's a big gap to go, but I gotta say, he's made up a surprising amount of pace here on this track. He's made quite a few passes in a row. And now it's about seeing whether Lars can be scared. Anthony Serena looks like he's recovering his race just a little bit around the outside here of Elliot Fagerberg, and that's Trevor Crosswhite all the way back there. Challenged by Jamie Ascaro.
Everyone's getting loose off of 2. 26 took to the apron as well. You can see the rejoin there.
Got a very loose... 2's got a very, very loose exit. So it's going to result in fire smoke on the inside of the track there. I don't think it's all too much. Very loose on exits. It opens up so widely. And if you're putting in the power just a little bit down too much, underestimating this car, I think you're doing it at your own peril here.
I thought 4 was going to be the problem corner, but no, turns out it's just getting out of these corners is a challenge for some of these drivers, and they're able to keep pointing forwards for now. Then 30 laps coming up shortly, and still Chenoweth able to lead this field and what's becoming a pretty decent green flag run. Chenoweth didn't pit at all yet, so probably looking 40 to 45, depending on the fuel number.
Trying to work out, that is Alexander Alderson. And I think an engine's been blown as well. No, Alexander's ahead. That's Lewis Baines. That is down. It's hard to catch some of these cars. That is the caution flag again. It flies. And meatball for Lewis Baines.
John Colmorgan.
Into John Colmorgan. It's into John Colmorgan, who was a lapped car, by the way, in this process.
I need a replay.
Oh, we're getting it. I think he may have made himself loose into this wall.
Okay. If it's a skill issue into a skill issue, I don't care.
He just run that car into the wall and just collected a lapped car in the wake. Drivers are getting very, very antsy around here, you could say. It's tricky.
That's pretty good timing though for the 22, because this is a third of the way through the race. You've been on these tyres for 30-something laps. They're pretty good worn out. Your fuel tank's getting a bit low. You can come in and top off. And oh, hello, Alcantech, following in on the pit entry, taking their second set of 3 tyres.
Did you see the Alcantech cars take tyres? I think they took fuel and left, but I didn't see them get up on the jacks when they first stopped. Early tyres would have been a mistake.
I just assumed they took tyres. I have no reason. Because they pitted from the lead, I just assumed they took tyres.
Missing the pit box there. Lars missed his pit box, had to reverse up just a little bit. This might cost him here on the race down pit road. Now we can see the cars definitely are taking their allotment of tyres. Doyle Rudolph stays out. Battle of pit road. It's just going to be won by Eric Blixt over Daniel Solo. Over Bartosz Mroga, and then Lars missing that pit box has cost 4 places on the road.
We know that 22 has the pace to take them back on the road, but you really don't want to be risking that. Because at best, you'll burn through your tyres more trying to chew through that position. At worst, we've seen some of these incidents, cars getting collected. You want to be as far away from them as possible. And the best way to do that is to be out front, and obviously, you're having to work through more traffic. There's more chances something can go horribly wrong.
So from what I can tell about the tyres, we have Doyle Rudolph and Elliot Fagerberg on the front row here with 17 laps each. And then James Facing in the P3 with 33. That might be a James Facing behind. 33 laps on the tyres. Only driver that hasn't changed it. Wasn't laps down. I think he did recover to stay on the same lap. So We have two drivers on the front row here with old tyres. Everyone else on fresh ones, except for James Facing in the 100, who could be a sitting duck in this field.
I'm surprised that 100 didn't come into pit road though, because obviously, like, the fuel number just isn't going to work out for them. They need to pit it in about 10 laps.
Not sure quite what's happening to this left-hand
also,
line.
Yes, there's something wrong going on here.
As he hangs back.
Wait, no, who's the black car here?
That is James Facing. As he does make it back up the field in time.
No, the 100 pit has been there the entire time. Facing's the 100s.
Elliot Fagerbank. My bad.
No, Lewis Baines is the black car.
I can't work it out. Why is he in line? I don't know. It's a lapped car in line. That's what we couldn't quite figure out. As we go green again, Doyle Rudolph has the jump, and it's going to be a very, very mixed field out here. There's maybe a bit of confusion on the restart. Don't see any black flags given out, so we go almost four wide in the rows behind. Eric Blex runs the outside there. Elliot Fagerberg is in the green car.
That 100, though, has fallen like a stone. You're on 30 lap old tyres. There's just no way you can contest on everyone coming on fresh. Like, you're just going to fall like a stone.
And as it goes in the backfield there, I'm trying to... As Daniel Yolt sends the car around, it could go yellow if he's slow enough when he's passed. It's not. It's going to stay green.
Oh, Baines in the wall, though.
And that
just keep it point forwards.
On the bottom, though, Daniel Solo getting very, very loose. Almost just spins the car on the track. Driver's really struggling on this restart. Doyle Rudolph is the most relevant car here on old tyres. And he's able to hold up this P3 for now, but it could be a struggle. We've seen the other car, the Elliot Fagerberg car, drop as well as Fagerberg's loose on exit. Just about keeps it together. Wondering if these drivers that haven't stopped might be regretting it. That's Eric in the wall.
I think it might be easy to get a short list of people who haven't gone into the wall by the end of this race. These cars just want to carry so much speed through the corner, and if you don't have the front with you, that car is just sailing up the track into the wall and then sailing back into the wall and try and get your foot down to get it turned.
Lars Chenoweth is on the back of Eric Blixt already. Started so far back, and I think almost certainly currently the fastest driver here on this run. But this could be a real duel because the gap behind has grown to a second. Makes that pass. He's just got pace. He's just got pace in his back pocket. It's absolutely unthinkable. A return to the lead for Lars Chenoweth. I wonder what it's going to take to send this guy back.
A terrible wreck. I think that's the only way it's happening. Chenoweth just seems to have pace in that top groove. Everyone else wants to run the bottom. And if you have the pace there, you're really uncontestable because you can't get slided out of the way. You're just going to drive around people. There's nothing they can really do about it. Hat 22 looking unstoppable. Unless the only thing I can think of is we do have a 40 lap run and those tyres just explode in the last 10 laps, which you didn't see on that last run.
Notice Trevor not quite keeping it out of the wall again. I mean, we're all a little bit guilty, but I did see another wall tap. Very guilty, holding off Jake Forster and Daniel Solo for now. Quite successfully. And Doyle Rudolph was our furthest ahead driver on these old tyres, now back in P11, back of the pack, compared to some of these other drivers as Anthony goes side by side here with Jamie.
Try and keep that car moving, go up the track. Make sure you're offset lines, make sure you don't end up in the air because otherwise that car is going to behave very tight to loose, and it's can be a handful if you're just driving in someone's wake. These cars aren't massively error aligned, but you still get that feeling even in them. Solo chasing down Forster. chasing down cross white. I just want to see what this McDonald's car does here. This 24's been very pitchy coming out of turn 2. Does these fresh tyres, well, they've still got a little bit of pace in them. Oh, speaking of touchy, the 13 has a huge wobble there.
Everyone, even our most experienced drivers here, are absolutely suffering on turn 3 and 4, turn 1 and 2 even. They're suffering all over the track. They can't seem to keep it outside of a wall over this race distance, though the relatively hot conditions don't necessarily help. We're looking at a 49 Celsius track for the Americans that watch. For Americans, that this is really for 121 on the track surface. It is on the warm side, so this could be contributing to a little bit of the feeling drivers are having in their bones right now. But they really can't keep it stuck as we're side by side. Trevor not really held to the bottom, he's holding the bottom himself by a very, very wide margin there. Pretty much letting the 44 of Jake Forster go. And Lars and Eric have been reeled in. It went over a second, we are now just in 2 tenths.
I like Forster taking the highline there. You know, that 24's been very loose, so you can get him on that low side, force him to try and squeeze the power on that car. And obviously, if the car's behaving like that 24 is just going to yield. Does so again to Daniel Solo in the 13, and next driver behind the Air Quotes 3 of Matthew Crisp.
There's quite a few numbers that have gone wrong here today.
Yes.
I mean, they'll be set up perfectly for the league as a hosted session. If you don't quite set it up correctly going in, bad things happen. And your car, every Alcantech car is wrong, by the way. Eric Blix is an 89.
Daniel Solo was correct.
89 in sim and a 95 on the track.
What I'm saying is you can set your custom number to be the same as the one that's printed on your car. That's not a very hard thing to do.
I mean, you can set a preferred number in the paint booth. That's all I'm saying. Rookie mistake. Get him off my track. I set the rules.
Don't tell me. I have the button.
Yeah, but does that mean you want to press it? At one point, I'm going to just get on the mic and shout, "Park it," and you know what to do. But for something, something's going to happen. You're just going to know it in an instant.
And speaking of instant, I thought this would be a fairly easy pass for Matthew Crisp, but Trevor Crosswhite's proved to be a bit much of a challenge for the Architect driver right now.
This, despite being such a wide and a fast track, getting past this done here is harder than you think. But that could be too close to the wall for comfort. Matthew Crisp, and just going to raise it.
We've seen the other drivers be able to take to that high side, just get the car planted and just power around the corner. It doesn't look like that Crisp has that level of confidence in the car to be able to do that, as Regala dealing with Ascara on the inside hit. Does Ascara get this move done? It was a send from Jamie quite far back.
Driven this car on quite a few quad ovals, and the quad oval is the hardest part of it really for me. Like, I just find the car just sort of wants to slide and wants to wash up, and you have to keep it under you. It's a real challenge, just like trying to keep it stuck to the bottom, or make sure the wall doesn't jut out to try and punish you. Very often you're just sort of running the high side, and the wall just comes as a surprise, very unlike many other like tri-ovals. Charlotte is like this, but just this effect, but just on like a tiny, like an ant scale.
It's the banking that comes off turn 4 that goes to near flat. So if you're running that high side, you go from having all that banking to essentially nothing, and the car at that point just wants to pitch right. So you need to either be on the inside of the corner or be ready to counteract that very strongly.
We're running on the Classic Atlanta. I would wonder how these cars would race on the restricted plate Atlanta. It's the sort of thing I'd have to like try and see and just see what happens. Like it's almost
Caution,
a rite of
yellow
passage.
flag.
I mean, like they go to Daytona and Talladega, and it's not always the worst thing you've ever seen. As Jamie Ascara in the wall's just able to keep it together here against the charging Anthony Sereno, but made it past Bartos, and I think he could make up another place very soon. I'm surprised that Jamie actually got away with that.
There's a lot of pace on the outside. Even if you brush the wall, you still got the pace in the car there. You can just get the power down. There's no real way to deal with that on the insides.
Side by side, keep running. They're going to just enjoy holding their lines for quite some time. We're halfway through our race distance now. Haven't had a green flag pit stop, but we've strung out the field quite significantly at this point. And, I mean, these three, I'm going to say these three are having a good fight, because I have a feeling that Jamie will end up back in it at some point. But it's certainly not for right now. It has been keeping good pace up ahead. Side by side, Matthew and Alex Alderson as well. Seen a lot of side-by-side racing around there, and we've not really seen a dominant line in terms of pace, unless you know something I don't.
I want to say the high side, but there's been a lot of good fighting back on that low line that I didn't think we would see. If some of these drivers just don't have the confidence to get their foot down on the high line, it can be a challenge to actually get the move to stick. His Forcer sticks the bumper to Blix. They're trying to get him out of the groove. This might be a pass down the inside, but I have a feeling that Blix is just going to go throttle down here, and unless the 44 clears up, they're going to be side by side. No! Okay, that's me told.
I'm surprised by how quickly Jake has reeled in Lars. That first run, Lars looked unstoppable, but now he is looking very stoppable. Gap behind, it's this top three, and it's 2 seconds to Solo. So Solo is well and truly not playing the same game here. But this top three have come remarkably close, and Lars sort of had that domination in his head. He's actually the strongest I-rating driver on this field, by the way. 6K. Now he certainly is being chased, and what happens in your head now, in a position like this, really, shows how you pass muster as a driver. It's not just about being fast, but it's about knowing when drivers are this close to you, whether you can keep it up in the face of that pressure.
And you were saying earlier about how the 22 might be burning through the rubber a little bit too much to try and build a gap. If that's come back to bite, Forster should at least be able to set the pass on the high side. Force Chanel to burn through those rears, trying to defend on the low line, and should take the lead. Further back in the field, we see Crossway in a bit of trouble trying to hold on to fourth position. Slides back momentarily because they're forced to take to that high side. We've seen that 24 run low a lot of the time, but 13 tries to force the issue on the low side. Can't hold it together. A little bit screwed. Let's let 24 escape for now.
I've heard, just on the topic of Atlanta, I've heard that the new track nowadays has quite a lot of wear on it. People have headed down to the track and they said, after 4 years, man, this track's almost not a plate track. As Daniel Solo loose on exit again and again on the straight. That car, he's one of the biggest Gen 4 fans on the service, but that car is not staying under him at all right now in these conditions. And these cars are starting to get tough to drive, especially if you've driven them hard on the rear, which is a very heavy limitation around here.
About 23, 24 laps into the stint now, and yeah, the best of these tyres will definitely be going away. Given how much horsepower these cars have, it's very easy to just go through these rears. If you lose it on the start of the corner, you'll be chasing it all the way down this back stretch. You need to keep it pointed underneath you as the 15 goes for the move. Lidson. I'll get it there eventually, don't worry.
It's not just me that gets names wrong now. So I
have to join you at some point.
Anthony Serino has seemed to have dropped off the face of the planet here.
Ooh.
As something clearly happened to slow him down significantly. Trying to keep a catch of what that is, and oh, that car's getting loose under him. You can feel like it's coming anytime soon. Well, to drop behind Doyle Rudolph, who well and truly has just had the tyre strap fall apart on him, implies that something much more serious happened. And these cars are so hard to get off the wall. When they're on it, you sort of have to throw them off, and you can very much see here Sereno's run just sort of unfolding. But where's the real disaster? You can see the panic in the movements of the steering wheel. These are some incredible saves to keep this car together, and there wasn't a yellow. So that's the save in time, but there goes the pace. Anthony Sereno now in the pit lane, probably just deciding that these tyres, no more fun to be had. The only driver that's actually made a stop like that, though. on the track. It's good to not make that car go around and keep it green, but that's a real sign of how tough it's getting out here.
Yeah, these laps are counting down. You're in the window where if you pit now, you can actually make it on field, but you were doing 40 laps on a set of tyres and lot 34 in the wall there. That's a sort of indication of how these tyres are doing with 30 laps on them. I think you want to try and string this out as long as possible, try and fish for that caution, and hope that that gets you to the end. All these drivers should have another set of tyres available to them in the pits. Presumably will be taking them if that yellow does fly now.
Lars and Jake have run away from Eric Blixt, who has dropped back by over a second here. There is lap traffic on circuit, but we're not seeing too many diplomatic incidents being caused by them, as that's Anthony Serino still on the new tyres, still struggling on that end of that back stretch, as Solo and Crisp are going to have a nice fight with each other for quite some time, I think. So, Elliot Fagerberg stopped the new tyre 6 laps ago. James Facing stopped 5 ago. Anthony Serino just stopped. Doyle Rudolph is P10 with 45 laps on the tyres. The fuel window must be coming up for Doyle at this point, because we're actually past the green flag pit window, but obviously a few yellows have proved efficiency, and I think Doyle does like to play. I do know him, and he does like to try and play the long game on tyres. I'm not sure whether it's really paid off very much, though.
Yeah, every driver still needs to take one stop to be good, and if you're that far back now, it's not really going to improve in that aspect. Still, with the chance of a caution coming out later in the race, if you have a spare set of tyres waiting for you in pit lane, that could come in very handy.
Anthony Serino sort of charging through some drivers on the old rubber. Of course, at this point, this is going to start making drivers think whether they bite the bullet. Daniel Yount has just headed into the pit lane. Just going to be taking the same, and eventually one of these key drivers with a chance of winning the race is going to pull the trigger. Alcantech teammates still dueling it out. I see quite a bit of damage starting to build up in these cars, and these aren't from legendary wrecks. These are just from incidents with the wall. How often have you taken this car against the wall? Because trust me, they don't come off easily.
No, it's the iRacing. They tend to get stuck, and then you have to really peel it off, it feels like. And doing that in traffic can be terrifying. But if you keep it in there, it's just going to rip the side apart.
I've wrecked people doing that. People have wrecked me doing that. So, I'm about even on the iRacing community, I have to say. And
32 laps though, but if they can go 40-45 from a tank of fuel, I think Shenanworth and Foster are just going to run that out as long as they can. 34 goes around and not into the traffic.
It's just about collected there by the McDonald's car, and that's going to be our caution. I don't think that will buff off in the fast repair. I'll say that damage to the front there of the of Trevor's car will barely even looks noticed. In fact,
that's a hard hit. That car should be dinged up a lot more than it actually is. But yeah, just unfortunate. Jordan Denny chasing that car all the way down the front stretch, and don't know about the line that was being taken there by the 24. I feel like Crosswhite could have maybe got down the track a little bit earlier or gotten the brakes, but does end up cleaning out the 34, and caution does come out. 35 to go, and this should cause a bull rush on pit road, and yep, everyone's coming.
Well, it's going to be important to try and work out now who wins this battle. We had Lars lose it the first time entirely to missing the box. Someone could easily do this one again. But it will be Lars over Jake over Blixt going in. One makes it. That's a miss there from Blixt. That's a miss on the pit box from Eric Blixt. He's going to probably lose some places to that. The first car moving is the 100, but first one off the road. It's going to be close. It's going to be a drag race, but it's going to be Lars over Jake Forster with Alderson beating out Eric Blixt after just losing that car. So that's a bit of a reset on the state of this race, you could say. It's a bit of a surprising hard reset, I gotta say. But that's how the cards have fallen. And so we're going to see a sprint to the finish with everybody good to run.
This is not a sprint to the finish. This is the 30. If it stays green the entire way, this is 34 laps. We just did 34 laps, so you can see how bad the tyres were there towards the end. This is definitely still in marathon territory. You need to take care of these tyres. So you just got to be careful.
Just one more angle of this, because I'm just feeling like self-indulgent in catching the wrecks.
So 34 gets into the corner. Looks okay going through it, but presumably he's just going to get a little bit too much throttle down here. No, this is the other side of the track. This is exit 4 through the start-finish. Overhead shot coming into 1.
Unless maybe we've been tricked.
Now the car should step out here. Overcorrect, trying to get it back down the track. That is a bizarre one.
Let me just try and catch Trevor Crosswhite. What was his number? I lost my mind.
24.
It's quite high up the pack. I want to catch the onboard of this car.
Well, I do it quickly because they're coming through turn 3 on the.
Yeah. Trying to make avoiding action. We're ready to go green again. Not quite. I mean, definitely just kind of thought the problem would maybe disappear itself, though. Well, this will certainly be our last pit stops as we go green again with 33 to go. Lars getting the jump as ever.
Good jump, yeah. And we've seen him pull away in the early running, but if Forster just keeps it calm, keeps that car putting forwards, we've seen them come back towards the end of the run. It's just a question of does that 22 build enough of a gap to hold the lead? If you insist. Hold on.
As gets the fast run off the field. And Lars always has that rocket ship mentality, always has that rocket ship tendency at the start. He was reeled in a bit last time, but was able to keep that lead, finishing the race. I don't expect for him to keep gaining like this forever, though, if the last run was any indication, unless he's totally dialed in how to make a perfect run.
Expect us to be a little bit quieter than the previous stint. I think the field's thinned out a bit. A few cars have been taken out of the equation, but also like the drivers now got comfortable. They had a lot of time on this track just to figure out what the car's doing in these conditions. They know what they need to do to get the car to the end of this run. I think that's where we're going to start to see the fireworks come out. But I think right now everyone is going to be very much in conservation mode. Make sure you have a car at the end of this race because that's when the pay window opens.
I mean, some people don't want to lift until they see God or the checkered flag. I mean, if you don't lift around here, you'll probably see the wall pretty hard. But indeed, these races are like pressure cookers. I like to describe oval races as like pressure cookers to people. The pressure builds up and up and up, and it finds a way of exploding. There will be 3 green, white, checkered attempts if we can't behave as well. So, you know, we have plenty of chances for fireworks. For now, it has been a very single file run. As drivers have learned, the one thing they learned last run was how their tyres evolved over the race and how that changed for them. I think
you can see this time a lot more of these drivers are taking to the inside line. I think they realise, okay, we need to make sure these rears are protected, get the car down the track, get it more reliant on the fronts, get it turned through the wheel, make sure the rears are doing as little work as possible, because when it comes time towards the end of this race, if we don't get a yellow, we need to do it ourselves. We need to have enough grip when the foot goes down to make sure we can get these passes done.
Lars hasn't made up much time. He's held that 4 temps gap for quite consistently.
To be fair, Forster's getting pressured a lot here. I think that Forster's probably going a lot faster than they probably want to be. There's a lot of cars stacked behind this 44 right now, and I think just Jake's thinking, right, I do need to go a little bit faster, because otherwise these Architect drivers are just going to run a train on me.
That's crisp.
Yeah.
Not taking it well. And he's going to drop back, gives up that position to Jamie Ascara, and in fact, Bartosz Morgala is going to have a lot of pace in the tank as well. These cars are so easy to send into the wall. Like, it's just like so natural in them that just they are loose, they are fast, and it's very easy to make a very minor mistake that absolutely punishes you on the track.
Yeah, they want to move in any direction that isn't forwards, and if you try and correct it one way or the other, it will just loop on you, and obviously having so many horses, it's just very easy to sail up and out of the corner as well. It's a very dangerous combination.
And I'm seeing Alderson sort of putting pressure on the car in front of Solo. Really, I've been seeing that as you were mentioning the pressure on Jake Forster. I was thinking, well, this actually seems to be a bit bigger on Daniel. I see just Alexander just all over the rear bumper trying to make something happen, or maybe just trying to scare him, move that air around a bit, or force him to make a mistake. We've certainly seen some mistakes from these Architect drivers, and I was talking about Lars not having a significant gap. It's now been doubled.
I think it's more the fact that everybody wants this inside. I think that this 15 car has a little bit more pace in it than we're seeing right now, at least, and it does look like Alderson wants to use it, but the Architect drivers in front just aren't really going anywhere, so that just means the 15 is going to constantly close up, doesn't want to dive to that high side, and is just forced to run this awkward single file. There's no other way of putting it, of just being stuck here, waiting for a gap to open that's never going to come.
I'm seeing so much movement out of Solo's car. I'm seeing that Solo's car has like a life of its own. It just wants to be off this track. It just wants to be either backwards or in the wall. I thought the temperature of this race was set quite conservatively, but it has been a real threat. Matthew Crisp,
it's
well and truly losing out.
Honestly, Atlanta is a very sketchy track, especially on this old surface. It's no surprise to me these cars are slip sliding as much as they are. Well, I didn't quite think it would be this bad, but I don't think it's a temperature thing. I just think it's an Atlanta surface problem they have managed to fix. Unfortunately, they haven't done so at the expense of any driver sanity who dares enter.
I mean, I would have done it to Texas, but, you know, they can do whatever they want. I would have changed Texas and just said we don't need Texas. We can make that a super speedway. But,
I think I would have resurfaced it with a nuclear fallout. Either way.
Oh, you're really not a fan? They're the same track.
I thought that was the 100 in the wall.
Not
too
quite,
fair.
Although
IRL Texas, terrible. iRacing Texas, love it. It's weird.
I don't. You couldn't make me. You couldn't make me. So Doyle Rudolph's tyres conserving strat didn't really work, and I think maybe he made a green stop just in time for the caution, because his tyres, to me, look pretty older than the rest of the field. That won't be making the difference now, but it always seems like he got caught out on the wrong side of that caution by accident there.
Would have been able to take a wave around, but yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes the caution just falls badly in the middle of a green flag cycle, and you get caught out.
Matthew Crisp is being swamped here. 3 wide in the middle. Such a promising leader in this run. Has a heavy slide job into the 100. If he is not careful, he's going to get himself turned around for that, and there might not be too much forgiveness.
How did they manage to make that one stick? I swear that 18 was pinched on both sides. There should not have been enough room for that car to slide up, and yet here we are anyway.
That's a lapped 100. You don't want to be pressuring it. Doyle Rudolph there loses it into the wall. Recovers, but that's the end of his pace for some time. These cars are losing themselves around this track as Daniel Solo has held off Alexander Alderson, but I still think this is the next move that's going to be made.
Does look like that 15 looking more and more aggressive, offsetting off of the exit of the corner, offsetting on the entry of the corner as well. 13 goes a little bit higher than I think I've seen them run previously. Trying to take some speed through the corner, trying to carry a bit more, trying to keep this 15 well and truly behind. But obviously still 17 laps left in this race, more than enough time to burn through her tyres. The 15 goes all the way up the track and runs out of real estate, grinds against the wall, loses a lot of momentum in the process.
Oh, even halfway through the run, drivers are just like, are feeling this car change on top of them. This has been a remarkably challenging combination to quite get right. This will be our championship finale track in the real season, but with a twist. And that is another pit stop in our championship finale. So we're going to go even longer than we're going today. Maybe these drivers are going to be dreading that after what I've seen here today. It looks like almost nobody except for Lars has had a flawless run of the track.
Well, I should be at least be aware of what tyres are going to be doing, but if you take a different line like the 15 did there, that's the first time in this run I've seen him take the outside. And obviously when you don't have your mark set for it, it's very easy to just get it in a little bit too deep, let the car get away from you, and suddenly you're in the wall with nowhere else to go.
Well, the thing I love about this Gen 4 car, by the way, is the way, like you used to be able to do this to certain Cup cars, but you can't anymore. And the way you can just make it any manufacturer you want. A lot of Toyota Camrys out on the field. There wasn't even a Camry next gen. But that's what they've gone for. I have a Datsun. I have the Nissan Skyline lights. It is appalling. It's just not a good time. I hope the new car is going to let us change these lights. Or maybe the manufacturers are going to tell us they hate fun.
The manufacturers are going to tell you they hate fun, I'm afraid.
Even after all these years, they've got Dale Jr.'s car. Dale Jr. going to hate fun?
Dale Jr. hates fun.
That's why he runs iRacing. He could have been running like Mario Kart. He chose the dark time. And that was cursing us all to realistic sim racing. Rest of our times.
Oh, hello, Chris. Hold on to it.
Suffering. So is Toyo Rudolph, I think, almost going sideways on this track. Anthony Serino, 3 laps down, hasn't really benefited his position in any meaningful way. But he recently stopped again for newer tyres. 4-lap-old tyres there on Serino. Unusual call. Don't think he'll make it up by the end of the race as Alderson finally gets ready to make his move.
Shoots the outside this time, makes it stick, gets the curve perfectly, doesn't wash up into the wall. 13 has no answer, struggles to get back on the power. 15 finally gets clear. Alexander finally let loose. Half a second, sorry, that's 2 seconds the gap to Blixt, because the drivers at the lead of this race have pulled away a bit. Shenoweth leads Forster by under 2/10. They've been running nose to tail for a good while here. Just offsetting slightly. Shenoweth taking that second lane. Trying to carry more speed through the corner, but Forster with a better exit. But nowhere to go. Oh, Shenoweth gets a little slippy on the high side now. Coming through. Forster dives low.
Forster has been saving tyres, and this is going to be where it all pays off for him. Side by side into the quad oval. I feel like he's got more pace in this car, whether or not the pass happens this lap or another. That car feels like it's faster right now. That car feels like it's going to take this unless Lars puts in the defensive drive of his life. Both cars up to the wall on the backstretch. No space being given. No quarter being given. Jake just having to take that inside for it.
No, I think Forster wants the outside. I think Shenoweth is very aware that if he loses that outside, he is gone. So Shenoweth just forced to go high here. We'll probably see it again. Well, to fair into 1 and 2, they both look like they want that inside. So the 44's happy to slot behind, but you can just see the run that the 44 gets through turn 2, bump draft on the exit of the corner, just to try and get some space. And then once again, 44 goes low, 22 goes high. They'll both drive off through the corner, but when you get to the exit, obviously the high side just carries more momentum through, and it will be Shuttleworth leading the lap. Now 8 to go. As the ticker finally counts over.
Takes a second. You've got to give it a second to understand where we're at, all right? It's had a long day, just like some of the people on this track have had a particularly long day. But the racing
actually goes high side through 1 and 2 there, though, trying to offset the line, trying to build momentum in a different angle, trying to find a separate way through, but you can just see that Shuttleworth, just any time that Shuttleworth gets to the high side, just able to drive away again, build enough of a gap into turn 1, and there's really nowhere for the 44 to go at this point. Maybe, oh hello, 22 goes high side in 1 and 2, see if the inside of this side of the track makes a difference. No, that 22 is just happy to stay high for now.
It's 22 dictating the terms of this race. And as the laps count down, he's going to very much be happy with the run he's been having. It has been a real struggle to hold on to it, and if he can do it just a few more times, this will be a win, but it's going to be hard fought all the way to the end. And I feel like Jake Forster's the faster driver, but it's being faster and then it's getting past. They are two very different things in this sport, and Jake's going to need to make that issue happen sooner rather than later. Time is running out. 6 laps sounds like a lot. It's very, very little.
But I don't know where the move's going to come from. I think Shuttleworth's going to have to put a foot wrong, because right now that high side is where this 44 wants to be. But there's just being covered off every single time, and you can't really afford to run in someone's tracks around here at this point. Now 5 to go. The 44 forced to take this low side once again, sideways out of the corner, trying to get the foot down, trying to generate some speed from somewhere. But if you don't have access to the high side, you're really not going to gain the advantage. Runs that second lane, trying to just do something to try and build momentum, try and get an overlap and maybe force the issue on the 22. But these two, nose to tail, now 4 to go, running out of time. Jake Forster needs to make a miracle happen.
And maybe this pressure could force a mistake. It could force some small little wall tap that gives up all the momentum. Or maybe Lars is running to an easy victory here. He has absolutely dominated in terms of long run pace, even short run pace since the start. His only true mistake today has been one on pit road that was made up back upon. And I was not anticipating an opponent this tough, or a rival this capable of ousting him. But this is a real preview of this season to come. These are 2 registered drivers already, let me tell you that. And they could, if they're just chasing this hard for an exhibition, I don't want to know how hard they're going to chase for points.
Shuttleworth is begging right now that this stays green to the end. It looks like everyone's been sensible for the last 30 laps. As long as no one puts a foot wrong here, this 22 should be fine towards the end of the race, but a caution will blow this thing wide open. 2 to go.
If you say it, you'll make it happen. If you say it, you'll make it happen. So
the 44 looks closer, though. This looks way closer than he was in the previous few laps. Has Shuttleworth burned through his stuff too soon?
We're going to approach the white flag, and that'll be the decider of everything. Jake doesn't quite have momentum on the inside.
You're not going to get overlap going there, but there's a chance as they come through, they'll take the white flag. 1 lap of racing to decide it all. Shuttleworth is going to shoot up the track one last time. Does Forster have enough of a run? Will offset slightly through the corner, trying to build momentum, trying to challenge through 3 and 4. Oh, and I think a slight wobble there from Forster. I think Shuttleworth might have done enough here to hold off the advance. It has been hard fought by the 44, but Lars Shuttleworth will come through the final 2 corners. Will take the straight. Barney will throw the checkers out, and it will be the win for Lars Shuttleworth in the exhibition race.
And we're wrecking over the line. We're wrecking over the line. I noticed, by the way, Matthew Chris picked up a meatball in the middle of that white flag. So we're going to have to find out what that was. I'm not going to let him get away with this, all right? Not going to let him get away with not knowing what the meatball was. This happened just when the white flew. So thankfully, this almost spoiled the entire chase and forced a green-white checkered. You'd think it would be rigged. I thought it could have been maybe a tyre being blown, but then I saw that the front was dented at the very, very end. Just curious about what I was Roy Bolling that Frost crashed over the line, by the way. 6 laps down. Where does the wreck happen? I said it's 30 seconds back.
It's a long way back, to be fair.
Yeah, but when I said sometimes I just miss wrecks entirely when I said it to that.
30 seconds is a lap.
You'd be surprised when I do enough broadcasts. It's the 537 fastest. So does the. Is it that? It looks like it's. It looks like that is the wreck.
Wait,
Matthew Chris just murdered a lapped car.
Rewind a second.
Oh! I lost it. I lost it. You made me lose it.
Oh
no. We can do this one more time.
Does the 13 take? I think. Well, there's your live shots of Chenoweth doing some donuts.
I've well and truly pressed too many buttons now. Well and truly pressed too many buttons.
We missed our opportunity. I was going to say, I don't think the 13 took the checkered there. I think it was in front, so didn't actually take the checkered. That was the white, and then would have had to do another lap, and that's when the meatball counted and was still on track.
Oh, I was wondering if there was going to be a brutal caution just coming out in the very, very last second, but we didn't quite get it. What a race finish there from our leader. And we're wondering if there's anyone in there to possibly interview. They're not dropping in quite yet, but there were battles all over the field. There were good fights there between Bartek and Crisp and Iscaro as well. Almost got them wrong. I'm remembering these names off the top of my head. There were battles absolutely everywhere once that run got underway, and I was really. It took a while. It took a while for these drivers to settle down, but when we did, we certainly got a race to be proud of. And what a chase to the line! As I'm going to get the results up now for the end of this race, I was hoping someone would maybe drop in to talk, and I'll do an open call to see if we can get anywhere. But
hello, Muscus. How are you doing today?
We'll get our race results though, nonetheless. Chenoweth leads the way over Jake Forster over the line. Big gap over them, and Eric Blixt in P3. Alexander Alderson takes P4 with Daniel Solo in 5th. Jamie Ascaro beats out Bartosz Mugrala and Trevor Crosswright as well. Doyle Rudolph beat out Matthew Crisp. And down, Elliot Fagerberg was in 11th in front of James Facing. Daniel Yost, Anthony Sereno, Roy Bolling. Those were our drivers that finished the race. Jordan Denny, Lewis Baines also entered along with John Cole Morgan, Justin Reynolds, Tom Shackelford. These are all the victims of the big wrecks. And Stevie Druin, and the rest of those names are probably just sign-ups. Was a very hot, stressful day in Atlanta. But this track does produce some serious racing.
It is a fantastic oval. I do love it every time it comes out. It is a challenge in these cars, especially in low grip conditions like that. You have to manage the car so much. And we saw a lot of people struggle with it, but we know one driver that really managed to succeed there towards the end of the race. Congratulations once again, Lars Chenoweth. It may only be a preview event, but it was a hell of a show nonetheless.
And we're not done with these races either. You'll have the chance not only to sign up to the league at www.aeonesports.com. It's still open, it's still available, but We got another clash heading on up as well. We got some fantastic races on the schedule. We go from Charlotte to Michigan to Dover to Auto Club to Iowa to Homestead, Sonoma, and back to Atlanta for an extra stop race. Sign-ups are still available on the website listed, and some of these drivers, if you think you can beat them out on the track, you very much have your chance. But until then, we got another clash on the way. I think you would quite like to show up to it yourself, so don't worry, I'll be...
It is my favourite track. I might get my ass beat on my favourite track, but by God, I will be there.
I'm looking forward to it no matter who shows up, so thanks to everyone at home for watching. Big thanks to you. I'm thanking my co-commentator, but I guess that's what you have to do around these places to get far. And thanks to the drivers that made it onto the field. I've been Howie Burroughs alongside Simon Davison. Got it right this time. Forgot his name on the last broadcast. That was great. Wishing